The total lack of disrespect in the NFL right now is really pissing me off. Welcome back to the show. It is Monday, January 8th, 2018. We are on the morning of the national championship. Alabama takes on Georgia tonight in Atlanta. Two things I want to touch on today, in my opinions, my thoughts. First off, that game. This is the game we wanted. If Alabama was going in the night against Oklahoma, I wouldn't feel too confident about that. I thought Oklahoma was probably the best team in college football up until last week when Georgia took care of that. I think it was just a good matchup. That was a great game. Georgia is a phenomenal team, but it's exactly the matchup that we wanted. Georgia is the team Bama is built to beat. So I feel much more confident going up against Georgia than I would have had Oklahoma. Not that we're going to walk in here and steamroll Georgia. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think we will get the victory. I think we walk out tonight national champions again. Roll Tide. We got it. Kirby Smart has Georgia. They're not going anywhere. A lot of people talk about the trilogy between Saban and Dabo. I think Kirby's just getting started, and he's not going anywhere. So this is going to be I think he's got Georgia already. You know, it took Saban 3 years to get to a national championship game in Alabama. Kirby's in his second year and he's there. So, but he walked into a much better situation than Saban did when he got to Alabama. So, Kirby's already doing what Kirby's going to do, and I really nothing but respect for him and what he's capable of. Kirby's going to be here again, and there's no doubt in my mind. Georgia's got something special. So, on to my next rant. The total lack of disrespect in the NFL right now is really pissing me off. Look, I know my Eagles don't have Wentz. I got it. I understand that. Foles is not Wentz. Okay? Here's my thing. And it's not just that game. There's a couple of games I'm going to talk about. But I'm an Eagles fan, so that one's first on the grid. If you think that the Atlanta Falcons are just going to walk into Philadelphia and have their way with us and walk out and win with a win, you've absolutely lost your mind. Can they win? Yes. But I'm going to give you a couple of things here. One, this past weekend in LA's fan base is garbage. Okay, they don't have fans in LA. They don't. Okay, Snoop Dogg was in the stadium. Okay, he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. He always has been. And all of a sudden, he's cheering on the Rams. But the Rams don't. The Rams have a fake fan base. Okay, there's no real Rams fans. Not in L.A. I mean, they had none of that going on when they had to go to L.A. There was no fan base. There was no whatever. They didn't have to deal with any hostile crowd like they were going to have to deal with in Philly. The weather is tremendous in California, whereas who knows what it's going to be Saturday in Philadelphia. I actually heard it's not going to be too bad. But I guarantee you it's nothing like it was this past weekend in California. And not to mention the fact our defense is tops in the NFL in a lot of categories. I think we're fourth overall. We're number one in the NFL in rushing defense. One. Nobody's been able to rush on us this year. Nothing. And you know, everybody wants to talk about Foles. You know, that's one player. And I understand Wentz was that much to us, and I got it. Dude, if Wentz was playing, I'd be on here yelling, nobody has a chance to get us. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to win it. I don't want to hear anything from anybody. This is going to happen, you know. But guess what? Once it's out, so I can't sit here and do that. We're also missing Jordan Hicks. We're also missing Jason Peters. I mean, I can go down the list. Darren Sproles. You imagine how we'd be if we had all those players? But we can't do that. We have to go in with what we have, and we don't have Wentz. And at the end of the day, that's going to affect us. But I don't think it's going to be – if Foles can come in and at least be that Alabama-type game-managing quarterback, then we'll be fine. Just don't turn the ball over. Let our defense win this thing, because I think we're capable of doing that. Our defense is built to stop Atlanta's offense. They're not going to be able to run the football, okay? And Matt Ryan is going to have Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Vinnie Curry. Those guys are going to be in that guy's face all day long. Jernigan, I mean, they're just going to be all over him all day long. He's not going to see any. He's going to be under pressure the entire game. They're not going to score all over us. Last year we played Atlanta and Philly during the regular season. Last year the Atlanta Falcons went to the Super Bowl, and we were not as good as we were this year. I'm talking about our defense, or our team. Period was not as good as it is now, and we handled Atlanta. We had no issue with them last year at all. Uh, it was a pretty dominant game if you go back and you look. I know that was a year ago. Things have changed, but we've only gotten better. And not to mention the fact Wentz didn't have anything on offense last year. Uh, Even without Wentz, look at the pieces that are here this year with Alshon Jeffrey, with Ajayi and Blunt. I mean, and then you're going to get a full dose of that Saturday. They're going to run Ajayi and Blunt to their beat. I mean, they are going to run the hell out of them. That's why they didn't. That's why Ajayi hadn't played in 2 weeks. Ajayi hadn't seen the ball since we played the Raiders. I mean, he's fresh. He's good to go. He's ready, and this game is why we're ready. We're going to run the hell out of him and Blunt right behind him. I mean, you're going to see a full steady dose of that against Atlanta. Okay? It's not going to be all in Foles' hands. Coach Peterson isn't that stupid. He's not going to put this game in Foles' hands. Run the ball, play defense. We can beat Atlanta. That's going to happen. Calling it now. We beat Atlanta in a close one. We're not going to whoop them. It's not going to be a blowout. Okay? But I figure I'll give it a 17-13 kind of game. I mean, something like that. I don't think a lot of points are going to be scored on either side of the ball. Either way, we walk out of Lincoln Financial next Saturday with a win, move on, and hopefully it's Minnesota. New Orleans is, and the Saints fans that watch my show will love this. The Saints are they struggled yesterday in the end against Carolina, which I thought was funny because they pretty much did what they wanted to do for most of the game, but they seemed to let up there towards the end, and Cam just doesn't have any help. I knew going into that game, if, the Carolina Panthers had no chance of winning that game. I was pulling for them, but I knew it wasn't going to happen. That's something that Saints live on. Saints defense. I mean, the Saints in general are the hottest team in the NFL, in my opinion. Especially on offense. Defense, I know Saints fans love their defense. Look, they've still got a ways to go. They're not what y'all think they are. That's why I said if we have to play the Saints this round, which I thought was going to happen, I wouldn't have been all that concerned. Saints defense, I know they're better, but they're not there yet. You Saints fans, whatever. I'm going to be nice and stop right there. We'll see what happens. I'd rather play the Vikings than the Saints. I do not want to play the Saints. Either way, if we do beat Atlanta, we'll be back at home again next week against whatever team wins that game. Do I see my Eagles going to the Super Bowl and winning one? No, I don't. We're crippled, and there's just way too many injuries this year. But I do feel confident against Atlanta. I do think we can win this week. I do think we will get a victory against them and move on to make the conference championship game, which I think we may inevitably lose. It just depends what happens in this game will tell me everything about the next. The preparations that Doug Peterson and his coaching staff have taken to get us here, to get us to this game Saturday. It's week to week, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. The other game I wanted to mention was the line on the Jaguars and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was listening to our local channel here in Mobile, our local sports channel, WNSP, this morning, and Lee Shervanian is on there, and he's talking about he kind of goes through the NFL games or whatever, and he's like saying how the Eagles line was whatever against Atlanta wasn't shocking. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of not surprised. It's disrespectful. I'm not surprised that the line favors the Falcons. I can't believe they made the Eagles underdogs in this game at home, number 1 seed against. Do they plan on giving Wentz the MVP? Because I mean, if so, then fine. That would make sense. If he's that valuable, then boy, he must be the MVP of the season. because you just made the Eagles the underdogs at home, number 1 seed against the number 6 seed. Please tell me how that makes sense, because I'm sorry, that makes none at all. The other game you mentioned was the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Pittsburgh, and how he said that was going to be a laugher. Apparently, Lee Shermanian doesn't watch NFL football. Uh, does he know that the last two times, the last time these two teams met earlier this season, Jacksonville destroyed Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. I like Jacksonville a lot. I like Pittsburgh too, but I've had my questions with Pittsburgh this year, especially their defense. And with that said, that to me is where things are gonna matter the most. Pittsburgh's gonna put up points, but it will be limited because Jacksonville's defense is so good. Uh, they rank at the top in just about every single category, um, especially the pass, which is what the Steelers, love to do. And even with Le'Veon Bell, they throw the football. Um, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars can and possibly will beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I fully believe that. I said that I called this a couple of weeks ago, and I said Jacksonville gets in this thing. Uh, they are going to make it. They're gonna upset whether it be Pittsburgh or New England. And here we are going into this round, second round of the playoffs. They're going against Pittsburgh, a team they've already manhandled. Do not be at all surprised if that happens again. Now I know it's a playoff; things are different. The quarterback in Jacksonville still is Bortles, which that's got to change this year. I'm really hoping they go after somebody like Cousins, because I think, dude, could you imagine how lethal Jacksonville will be with a quarterback? They just don't have that right now. It's kind of like the Foles situation in Philadelphia. I mean, you get what you got, and they're going to roll as far as Bortles will take them, just like we're going to get. But the thing is, the defense is what rolls that tank. It's not the quarterback. Just in Philadelphia right now, it's not our quarterback that's rolling this tank. It's our defense along with our running game, and that's what rolls things there. And same thing in Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. Between their defense is suspect. I've been calling it all year long. I have not been a Steelers fan with their defense. It's not been what it normally is, or it has been in the past. They have been getting off on their offense, and Jacksonville stops offense. I mean, their defense is just lights out, unbelievably good. It's going to be. I think Jacksonville could possibly be one of those defenses where it's going to be right there, ranked with the best of all time. Chicago Bears '85, 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Those defenses. I think Jacksonville is on the brink of making that happen, and I think they're special. And this defense is just unbelievable. And I think I don't think anybody's paying attention to them because you think Jacksonville, you think suck. I mean, and that look, it's given. They haven't done anything in Jacksonville since they were created in the '90s. Since they got here, Jacksonville's done a whole lot of nothing. They've made the playoffs in years past, but I mean, they really haven't done anything. I mean, they have more playoff wins than the Dallas Cowboys, but over the last 20 years, 22, I think it is 23. Anyway, got off subject there for a second. Either way, Jacksonville is awesome, and awesome enough to beat Pittsburgh, and I think they possibly will. I'm gonna roll with them in this game. If Pittsburgh wins, I'm not gonna be shocked. They do have the horses to get it done. It's just gonna be a fight, and their defense is gonna have to step. The only way Pittsburgh will win this game is if their defense steps up against that offense and stops Fournette and gets after Bortles. If that happens, Pittsburgh can win this game. If they can't, and they're suspect, like I'm calling them, then Jacksonville's going to roll into Pittsburgh and steal this win from them at home in the playoffs, and that is going to be rough for Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh is a football town. I love Pittsburgh. I like the Steelers. I'm not a Tomlin fan, but I do like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've always pulled for them. I'm not necessarily pulling against them. Even here, I just like Jacksonville's chances. They were my dark horse going into the playoffs. Here we are. I'm sticking with them. Anyway, that was my rant on that because, I mean, these people that are just throwing Pittsburgh over Jacksonville like it's nothing. I mean, these people don't watch football. I mean, it drives me nuts. So you've got sports channels and these guys that get paid to get on the radio and talk football, and they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Like, you're laughable is what he said. He said, it'll be a laugher. Dude. All right, we're in college football country. I know we are, but like no football before you get on there and you say something stupid because that's what you did, and it's not going to be a laugher. If it's a laugher, it's going to be the other way. Again, go back and watch. Go. Do you find the highlights anywhere? Go find them and let me know how that turned out. Jacksonville owned Pittsburgh the last time they played them. And I believe that game was in Pittsburgh, if I'm not mistaken. I know this is a playoff atmosphere. This will be a different deal, but it's still the same two teams. And I don't see what's going to be different. I really don't. Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh, and their defense is going to make or break this game and make or break their season. And I think it's going to be break if they don't get it together. I've been yelling suspect with them all year long. And I've watched quite a few Pittsburgh games this year, and I've said it every time. Their defense is overrated. I don't know why they get the respect they get. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're certainly not as good as people say they are. And I think they're the reason they've lost some games this year. The Pittsburgh Steelers lost to the Chicago Bears. Let's not forget that either. They're Pittsburgh Steelers have not looked great all season long. It helps that they play in the crappy division they play in, and we'll just leave it there. And nobody else in that division is worth a squat, especially this year. Anyway, so we're going to leave that. AFC's the AFC. The NFC is, I think whoever wins the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl. Unless it's Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, then I'm going to change my story. Because they're capable of beating anybody at any time. It just depends who gets here in the NFC. So I think the NFC is light years better than the AFC this year. The Buffalo Bills made the playoffs in the AFC. The Tennessee Titans not only made the playoffs, they won first round against Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. Which, who didn't see that coming? I mean, he turned into Reed all day long. He usually waits till the second or third round to do that, but he didn't waste any time. I wonder how long they'll keep up with that in Kansas City. Probably longer than he did in Philly because we put up with it for quite some time. But Kansas City, those fans and that fan base is a lot different than ours. They'll probably put up with it for a little while, but I mean, they're never going to win a Super Bowl with Andy Reid. They'll get to the playoffs, but they'll never win a Super Bowl. That's not happening. I'll talk more on NFL. I always will. I'm an NFL guy. I know I've got my Bama stuff. I'm roll tiding the day. It is Bama Day. It's National Championship Monday, and I'm excited. But I'm an NFL guy at heart, and I'm always going to talk a little bit more NFL than I am college. I love my college football, but I'm just built and bred NFL. That's going to be all for this week. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, like, and share while you're at it. I'll be back on before next week, before the Saturday's game against Atlanta, more than likely, and give more thoughts on that. My brother's a big Falcons fan, so me being an Eagles fan, him being a Falcons fan, it's probably going to be a lot of trash talk on Facebook this week. But I will tone it down. I will be light. I will step up and I'll not let him get out of hand. But that'll probably be the gist of it. Wentz is not my quarterback this week, so I've got to be realistic. The fact that we can lose this game, I just don't think we will. But anyway, I'll leave it at that, and see you guys next week. Take care. God bless. Roll Tide.
Leave the comments down below if you like this video. Bye!